I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, Drake was on speakerphone. They played him a song. It's going to be on a Drake album. So I don't remember how the beginning of Future booking his session at SubCat really came into place, because I know Jeremy Johnston set up a lot of it with Ulf. I remember he got a call similar to the little TJ session we did, and the label wanted to book a session in the studio at SubCat, Studio A, overnight, because he was performing at OCC that night. They really wanted to finish a new song for his album. That, or I think they were really just trying to get more songs down. He had an album coming up. They just needed somewhere to track while they're on tour, so that way he wouldn't have to stop the tour and just go record for a few days, that sort of thing. A lot of hip-hop artists and acts that are smaller, they can get away with that sort of thing, just hopping in studios randomly. So Jeremy got that call, and we set up the session for Future. And I remember that whole day, we were all excited. There's all these interns here, and they're all stoked. I remember Jeremy talking to the interns, and because Future sent over a rider, his management, I should say. There's no way Future's on Gmail sending over emails and stuff. But his management sent over this rider, and they're like, we need these snacks. We want these drinks. We need these M&Ms. So these interns are running around Syracuse trying to find all these uber obscure snacks all day. I remember, I won't forget, because one of the things on the rider was strawberry Fanta. I kid you not, they told me that they had to go to like 8 grocery stores before they could find strawberry Fanta. Anyways, I remember we rolled up here probably 11 o'clock, getting things cleaned up. Finally, the engineer shows up. Rest in peace. His name's Seth Firkins. I think he passed away a couple years ago. Good guy. Really liked Seth. He rolls in here. We start hooking up his hard drive, getting Pro Tools going. We do a mic check. And then Future showed up. He's one of the only people I've ever seen in the studio wearing sunglasses in the dark. Very cool guy, chill. They were just playing beats, hanging out in the control room, listening to beats. They'd catch a vibe. He'd go in and record on the spot. And now, I don't know if this is probably something most people don't know, but a lot of trap guys, they do bar for bar. So what that means is he'd sit there and he'd punch him in. He'd mumble a little bit. They'd keep running it until he got some bars, got some words, lay down the bar, next bar. So he's writing the song right off the dome, which I always respected to some extent, just because what's the quickest way to get it right from your brain and just put it right on a recording? You're just downloading it directly into the computer, right? Which is so weird to think about, but super cool and actually kind of smart. But they're tracking in there, and I remember it was just a really mellow session. Smoke everywhere, just Future hanging out, writing bars. The same thing over and over again, right? He's coming in the control room, jamming out some beats, hanging out. When they catch a vibe, he'll go in the live room, record the vocals. But I remember Jeremy and I, we were both the 2 assistants for the session. Jeremy, the one who had set it up. We kind of made this agreement like a couple hours in, because I think the session went from 12 to 7 a.m. Like, it was a long session and a late session. A couple hours in, it's like 2 a.m. Like, we made a deal. I was like, yo, dude, we could do this in shifts. I was like, why don't you go sleep for a couple hours? I got this. Then in a couple hours, I'll go sleep and you can finish it off or whatever. At first I'm sure he was nervous, but we agreed to doing it. Jeremy went and took a nap. Yeah, that's basically what I can call it. It was 2 hours, right? Even though it was at wicked late, very early in the morning, couple hours. I remember waking up. I think it was probably 7 a.m. I caught the second shift, right? They had just wrapped up. I got up, walking around the studio, and Jeremy tells me, he's like, dude, you'd never believe what just happened while you were asleep. And I'm so bummed that I missed this part, but it is what it is, He says, dude, they had Drake on speakerphone. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, Drake was on speakerphone. They played him a song. It's going to be on a Drake album. The song we had done was Grammys. which is a Drake and Future collab. But just the thought of Drake's voice coming through the phone lines was like, what? Super cool. And then a few weeks later, it came out, which was crazy because we had just done that session like 3-4 weeks ago, and boom, it's out on the record, views, like wicked fast. It was like, must have been the last song they got. It was crazy.